before we talk about the fundamental ideas behind Ethereum and cryptocurrency, perhaps it'd be nice to talk about the origin story of Bitcoin and the mystery of Satoshi Nakamoto. You gave a talk that started with sort of asking the question, what did Satoshi Nakamoto actually invent? Maybe you could say, who is Satoshi Nakamoto and what did he invent?
Sure. So Satoshi Nakamoto is the name by which we know the person who originally came up with Bitcoin. So the reason why I say the name by which we know is that this is a anonymous fellow who has shown himself to us only over the internet, just by first publishing the white paper for Bitcoin, then releasing the original source code for Bitcoin, and then talking to the very early Bitcoin community on Bitcoin forums, and of interacting with them and helping the project along for a couple of years. And then at some point in late 2010 to early 2011, he disappeared. So Bitcoin is a fairly unique project in how it has this kind of mythical, kind of quasi-godlike founder who just kind of popped in, did the thing, and then disappeared, and we've somehow just never heard from him again.
So in 2008, the white paper was the first. Do you know if the white paper was the first time the name would actually appear, Satoshi Nakamoto?
I believe so.
So how is it possible that the creator of such a impactful project remains anonymous?
That's a tough question, and
there's no similarity to it in the history of technology as far as I'm aware.
Yeah. So one possibility is that it's Hal Finney, because Hal Finney was kind of also active in the Bitcoin community, and as Hal Finney in those two beginning years, and how...
Who is Hal Finney, maybe you could say?
He is one of the people in the end of early cypherpunk community. He was...
so he's a computer scientist?
Computer scientists, cryptographers, people interested in technology, internet freedom, those kinds of topics.
Was it correct that I read that he seemed to have been involved in either the earliest or the first transaction of Bitcoin?
Yes. The first transaction of Bitcoin was between Satoshi and Hal Finney.
Do you think he knew who Satoshi was? If he
wasn't Satoshi, probably no.
How is it possible to work so closely with people and nevertheless not know anything about their fundamental identity? Is this like a natural sort of characteristic of the internet? Like if we were to think about it, because you and I just met now, there's a depth of knowledge that we now have about each other that's like physical. Like my vision system is able to recognize you. I can also verify your identity of uniqueness. Like like it's very hard to fake you being you.
Yes.
So the internet has a fundamentally different quality to it, which is just fascinating. Can you maybe
this is definitely interesting, as I definitely just know a lot of people just by their internet handles. And to me, when I think of them, I see their internet handles, and one of them has kind of profile picture as this kind of face that's kind of not quite human with a bunch of kind of psychedelic colors in it, and when I visualize him, I just visualize that.
That's not an actual face.
Yeah.
You are the creator of the second, well, at least currently, the second most popular cryptocurrency, Ethereum. So on this topic, if we just stick on Satoshi Nakamoto for a little bit longer, you may be the most qualified person to speak to the psychology of this anonymity that we're talking about. Your identity is known, I've just verified it. But from your perspective, what are the benefits in creating a cryptocurrency and then remaining anonymous? If it can psychoanalyze Satoshi Nakamoto, is there something interesting there? Or is it just a peculiar quirk of him?
It definitely helps create this kind of image of this kind of neutral thing that doesn't belong to anyone. That you created a project, and because you're anonymous, and because you also disappear, or as unfortunately happened to Hal Finney, if that is him, he ended up, I think, dying of Lou Gehrig's disease, and he's in a cryogenic freezer now. But like, if you pop in and you create it and you're gone, and all that's remaining of that whole process is the thing itself, then like no one can go and try to kind of interpret any of your other behavior and try to understand, like, oh, this person wrote this thing in some essay at age 16 where he expressed particular opinions about democracy, and so because of that, this project is a statement that's trying to do this specific thing. Like, instead, it creates this environment where the thing is what you make of it, and
it doesn't have the burden of your other ideas, political thought, and so on. So now that we're sitting with you, do you feel the burden of being kind of the face of Ethereum? I mean, there's a very large community of developers, but nevertheless,
yeah,
is there like a burden associated with that?
there definitely is. This is definitely a big reason why I've been trying to kind of push for the Ethereum ecosystem to become more decentralized in many ways. Just encouraging a lot of kind of core Ethereum work to happen outside of the Ethereum Foundation, and of expanding the number of people that are making different kinds of decisions, having multiple software implementations instead of one, and all of these things. Like, there's a lot of things that I've tried to do to remove myself as a single point of failure, because that is something that a lot of people criticize me for.
So if you look at like the most fundamentally successful open source projects, it seems that it's like a sad reality when I think about it. It seems to be that one person is a crucial contributor. Often, if you look at Linus for Linux, for the kernel.
Yeah, that is possible, and I'm definitely not planning to disappear.
That's an interesting tension that projects like this kind of desire a single entity, and yet they're fundamentally distributed. I don't know if there's something interesting to say about that kind of structure, and thinking about the future of cryptocurrency. Does there need to be a leader?
There's different kinds of leaders. There's dictators who control all the money. There's people who control organizations. There's kind of high priests that just have themselves and their Twitter followers.
What kind of leader are you, would you say?
Yeah, these days, actually, a bit more in the high priest direction than before.
Yeah.
Like, I definitely actually don't do all that much of kind of going around and like ordering Ethereum Foundation people to do things because I think those things are important. If there's something that I do think is important, I do just usually kind of say it.